The elevator stopped between floors. Elena Vance pressed the button for the 32nd floor again. Nothing. The panel light flickered, steadied, then went dark. Her phone showed 6:47 p.m. The rehearsal dinner started at 7, 43 blocks north, and she was stuck in a metal box wearing a dress she couldn't sit down in without creasing. She pressed the emergency button. A tone sounded somewhere far below. Building maintenance. The voice crackled through the speaker. We're showing a temporary hold on car 6. Are you experiencing... I'm stuck. Ma'am, if you could... I'm stuck between floors and I have somewhere to be in 13 minutes. Silence. Then, we're dispatching a technician. Should be about 20 to 30. Elena pressed the button again. Held it. The speaker cut out. She exhaled. Looked at herself in the polished brass doors. Her reflection stretched and warped in the metal. The emerald dress. The borrowed earrings. The hair she'd spent 2 hours on that morning. Tomorrow she was marrying Julian Cross. Tonight she was going to be late to her own rehearsal dinner. She pulled out her phone. 3 bars. She typed, stuck in elevator. Building on 58th. Coming as fast as I can. The reply came in 4 seconds. I'll send Marcus. Marcus, his head of security. For an elevator. She typed back, I don't need... The elevator lurched. The lights came back. The car began to rise. Elena grabbed the rail, watched the numbers climb. 29, 30, 31. The doors opened on 32. A man in a gray suit stood in the hallway, hands clasped in front of him, earpiece visible. Ms. Vance. I don't need an escort. Mr. Cross sent a car. It's waiting downstairs. I have a car. He sent a different one. Elena stepped past him. Her heels clicked on the marble floor. She didn't look back. Ms. Vance. She stopped, turned. The man in gray hadn't moved. The elevator on the left goes directly to the parking garage, faster than the main lobby. She looked at the elevator, looked at him. How did you get here so fast? I was already in the building. Why? He didn't answer. Elena walked to the elevator on the left, pressed the button. The doors opened immediately. She stepped inside alone. The car was black. The driver didn't speak. The partition stayed up. Elena watched the city slide past the tinted windows. Cabs, pedestrians, a woman pushing a stroller against the wind. Her phone buzzed, running 15 minutes behind. Start without me if you need to. She read Julian's message twice, then typed, Where are you? No response. She watched the screen for 2 blocks. 3. The message stayed on, delivered. The car turned onto Park Avenue, slowed, stopped in front of the restaurant. A doorman appeared, opened her door. Ms. Vance, they're expecting you. She stepped out. The cold hit her shoulders. She should have brought a coat. Inside, the restaurant was warm. Golden light, white tablecloths, a murmur of voices from the private room at the back. Her mother intercepted her before she reached the door. Where have you been? Elevator. Julian's not here yet? I know. His mother is. Elena's stomach tightened. Where? Center table. She arrived 20 minutes ago. Alone? With lawyers, 2 of them. Elena looked toward the private room. Through the frosted glass, she could see shapes, movement. Lawyers, she repeated. That's what I said. At a rehearsal dinner, her mother touched her arm. Elena, I heard you. She walked toward the private room, her heels silent on the carpet now. She pushed open the door. 30 faces turned. Margaret Cross sat at the head of the table. Silver hair, black dress, hands folded on a leather folder. The 2 men beside her didn't look up from their phones. Elena. Margaret's voice carried across the room. How lovely. We were beginning to wonder. Elena smiled. The room watched her walk the length of the table. Traffic, she said. On a Thursday? Elevator trouble. Ah. Margaret gestured to the empty chair beside her. Julian called. He's been delayed. I know. Do you? Elena sat. The chair was cold. He texted me. Did he say why? No. Margaret nodded. Something passed across her face, gone before Elena could read it. Well, Margaret lifted her glass. I suppose we should toast to patience. The room laughed. Glasses rose. Elena reached for hers. The wine was red, too dark. She brought it to her lips but didn't drink. Under the table, her phone buzzed. She looked down. Hidden beneath the tablecloth, the screen glowed. Julian's name. But the message wasn't from him. This is David Chen. I'm Mr. Cross's assistant. He asked me to inform you he'll be another hour. He apologizes. An hour. Through his assistant. Elena typed back, Is he okay? The response came fast. He's in a meeting. At 7 p.m. on the night before his wedding? No reply. Elena put her phone away, looked up. Margaret was watching her. Everything all right? Perfect. You're not drinking your wine. Elena lifted the glass. Drank. The wine was bitter. Better? Margaret's smile didn't reach her eyes. Much. Julian arrived at 8:43 p.m. Elena heard him before she saw him. The shift in the room, chairs adjusting, voices lifting. He came through the door in a navy suit. Tie loosened, hair pushed back like he'd been running his hands through it. Sorry, he said to the room. Couldn't be helped. He crossed to Elena, kissed her cheek. His lips were cold. You okay? She whispered. Fine. You're late. I know. He pulled out the chair beside her. Sat. A waiter appeared with wine. Elena watched him drink. His jaw was tight, something behind his eyes she couldn't name. Julian. He looked at her. What happened? Work. The night before? I know what night it is. His voice was low. I said I'm sorry. Under the table, his hand found hers, squeezed, then let go. Margaret stood. The room quieted. Now that we're all here, she said, I believe we can begin. She opened the leather folder in front of her. As you know, tomorrow is a significant day, not only for Julian and Elena, but for both families. She paused. And for Cross Industries. Elena's shoulders stiffened. Julian's hand returned to hers, tighter this time. We've prepared a small presentation. Nothing formal. Just some information for our guest about the joining of these two. Mother. Margaret stopped, looked at her son. Not tonight. I thought, not tonight. The room went still. Margaret's smile stayed fixed. Of course. She closed the folder. Perhaps after the soup. She sat. The waiter appeared. Bowls descended onto the table. Elena stared at her soup, cream-colored, steam rising. What was in the folder? She whispered. Julian didn't answer. Julian. Later. Now. He turned to her. His eyes were dark, tired. Trust me. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. He picked up his spoon, started eating. Elena looked at Margaret. The older woman was speaking to the lawyer on her left. Low, intent. The folder sat closed on the table between them. Elena reached for her wine. Her hand was shaking. She pressed it flat against the tablecloth until it stopped. The rehearsal dinner ended at 11. Julian walked Elena to his car. The cold had deepened. Her breath hung in the air. Come back to the house with me. Elena looked at him. We're not supposed to see each other before. I don't care about supposed to. Your mother will. My mother can. He stopped. Exhaled. Please. The car waited. Engine running. Driver invisible behind the glass. I have to get up at 5, Elena said. Hair and makeup, photos. I know. I can't be tired. I know. She looked at him, at the lines around his eyes, at the tension in his shoulders. What's wrong? Nothing. Julian. He reached for her, pulled her close. His arms were warm. His chest was cold. Come to the house, he said into her hair. Just for an hour. Why? Because I'm asking. She pulled back, looked at him. 1 hour. 1 hour. She got in the car. The Cross estate sat 40 minutes north of the city. Elena had been here 6 times, for dinners, for a birthday, for the engagement party. Every time she noticed something new. Tonight, as the car pulled through the gates, she noticed the cameras. 4 of them, just on the entrance, red lights blinking in the dark. When did those go up? Julian looked out the window. Last month. Why? Security upgrade. The car continued up the drive. Trees on both sides, black shapes against the sky. What happened last month? Julian didn't answer. The house appeared. Stone and glass. 3 stories, lit from within. The car stopped. Julian opened his own door, came around to her side. 1 hour, Elena said again. I heard you. They walked to the entrance. The door opened before Julian touched it. A woman in black stood in the doorway. Gray hair, lined face, eyes that catalogued Elena without seeming to. Mr. Cross, Ms. Vance. Helen, Julian nodded. We won't need anything. Of course. They entered. The door closed behind them. The house was warm. Quiet. Somewhere, a clock ticked. Where is everyone? Staff quarters. Mother's in the East Wing. Your brother? Julian's jaw tightened. Garrett's not here. I thought he was coming for the wedding. He's not. Elena waited. We had a disagreement, Julian said. About what? About you. The clock ticked. Elena felt the floor shift beneath her, a feeling she couldn't place. What about me? Julian turned, walked toward the stairs. Julian. He stopped, didn't turn around. What did Garrett say about me? Silence. The clock. The sound of his breathing. He said I should show you the house, all of it. I've seen the house. No. Julian turned now. His face was shadowed. You haven't. He climbed the stairs. Elena stood in the entrance hall. The ceiling rose above her, dark and high and cold. She followed him. The second floor was familiar. Guest rooms, library, the study where Julian sometimes worked. Julian passed all of it, continued down the hallway, toward a door at the end Elena had never noticed. What's that? Stairs to the 3rd floor. I didn't know there were stairs here. No one uses them. He opened the door. The staircase beyond was narrow, unlit. Julian pulled out his phone, turned on the flashlight, started climbing. Elena hesitated. Her heels weren't made for narrow stairs. Take them off. She looked at Julian. His face was blue-white in the phone's glow. Your shoes. Take them off. She stepped out of her heels. The floor was cold. She carried them in her hand. They climbed. The 3rd floor was different. Elena had never been up here, and she'd asked once. Julian had said it was storage, old furniture, his father's things. It wasn't storage. A long hallway stretched before them. Doors on both sides, closed. The carpet was thick, red, muted. Julian. He walked ahead, past the first door, the second, the third. Elena followed. Her bare feet sank into the carpet. What is this? The 3rd floor. That's not what I asked. He stopped at a door, the 4th on the right. It looked like the others. Dark wood, brass handle. This is what Garrett wanted me to show you. Elena looked at the door, at Julian, at the shadows pooling around them. What's inside? My father's room. Your father's been dead for 10 years. I know. Julian reached into his pocket, pulled out a key. Old, brass, heavy. I've never shown anyone this room. Why are you showing me? He looked at her. Something cracked in his eyes, something she'd never seen. Because Garrett said if I didn't, he'd tell you himself. Tell me what? Julian put the key in the lock, turned it. The mechanism clicked, old and thick and final. What's in the room, Julian? He pushed the door open. The darkness inside was complete. Why don't you see for yourself? Elena didn't move. The doorway gaped in front of her. Black. Total. The air coming from inside was cold. still, like it had been sealed. Julian reached around the doorframe. His hand found a switch. Light flooded the room. Elena blinked, adjusted. It was an office. Large, wood-paneled. A desk at the far end facing the door. Behind it, floor-to-ceiling windows covered with heavy drapes. "Your father's office," she said. "Yes." "Why is this a secret?" Julian didn't answer. He walked into the room. His footsteps left prints in the dust on the floor. Elena followed. Her bare feet registered the change from carpet to hardwood. Cold. Gritty. "No one's been in here," she said. "No. In 10 years. No." She looked around. The desk was massive. Dark wood, empty surface. Behind it, a high-backed leather chair. On the walls, photographs, framed, dozens of them. Elena moved closer to the nearest one. A man in a suit, shaking hands with someone she recognized from the news. A senator, maybe a governor. "Your father?" "Yes." She moved to the next. The same man. Older now. Standing in front of a building. Cross Industries etched in stone above the entrance. "I don't understand," Elena said. "Why would Garrett want you to show me this?" Julian stood by the desk, his hands in his pockets, his face unreadable. "Keep looking." Elena turned. More photographs. The man she now knew was Julian's father, Victor Cross, in different settings. Conferences, ceremonies, private gatherings. And then she stopped. The photograph was smaller, tucked between two larger frames. Easy to miss. Victor Cross stood in what looked like a garden. Beside him, a woman. Dark hair, sharp eyes, a smile that didn't match the rest of her face. Elena leaned closer. The woman was wearing a ring, visible on her left hand. A specific ring, square-cut diamond, platinum band. The same ring Elena was wearing right now. "Julian." He didn't move. "Julian, who is this woman?" Her name was Catherine. "Catherine, who?" Silence. "Julian." "Catherine Cross." Elena's hand went to the ring on her finger, the ring Julian had given her 8 months ago, the ring she'd worn every day since. "Your mother's name is Margaret." "Yes." "Then who?" "Catherine was my father's first wife." The room tilted. Elena put her hand on the wall, steadied herself. "You never told me your father was married before." "No." "Why?" Julian walked to the window, pulled back the drape. Moonlight spilled across the floor. "Because Catherine didn't die, Elena. She disappeared." The word hung in the air. Disappeared. Elena stared at Julian's back, at the moonlight cutting across his shoulders. "What do you mean, disappeared?" "I mean, one day she was here. The next day she wasn't." "When?" 32 years ago. Before you were born." 6 months before. Elena's mind worked, calculated. "Your mother, Margaret, she was pregnant with you when—" "Yes." "And Catherine was still legally married to my father." "Yes." Elena looked at the photograph again. At Catherine's face. At the ring on her finger. "What happened to her?" "No one knows. Someone has to know." Julian turned. His face was half in shadow, half in light. "She left the house one morning, drove to the city, parked her car in a garage on the Upper East Side, and vanished. People don't vanish." "She did. There must have been an investigation." "There was. And? Nothing. No body. No trace. No evidence of foul play." Elena touched the ring. The metal was cold against her skin. "Why am I wearing her ring?" Julian crossed the room, stopped in front of her, close enough to touch. "Because my father kept it. And when he died, he left it to me, with instructions." "What instructions?" "To give it to the woman I chose to marry." "That's—" Elena shook her head. "That's insane. Julian, this ring belonged to a woman who disappeared, a woman who might have been—" "I know what it sounds like." "Do you?" "Yes." Elena pulled at the ring. It stuck at her knuckle. She twisted, pulled again. "Elena, I can't wear this. Elena. The ring came free. She held it in her palm, small and heavy and cold. You should have told me. I know. Before you gave it to me, before any of this. I know. She closed her fist around the ring, felt the edges dig into her skin. What else haven't you told me? Julian didn't answer. Julian. There's more. Show me. He walked to the desk, knelt, reached underneath. Elena heard a click. A hidden drawer slid open. Julian pulled out a folder, thick, worn at the edges. He placed it on the desk, stepped back. My father's private investigation. Into Catherine? Into her disappearance, and into what she found before she left. Elena stared at the folder. Her heart was loud in her ears. What did she find? Open it. She moved to the desk. Her hand trembled as she reached for the folder. Julian, what did she find? Something in this house. Something she wasn't supposed to see. Elena's fingers touched the folder's edge. Something my father spent 30 years trying to bury. She opened the folder. Inside, photographs, documents, handwritten notes. Elena spread them across the desk. Her eyes moved fast, taking in fragments, a photograph of a door, heavy, metal, in what looked like a basement, a floor plan, the house she was standing in, with a room marked in red that she'd never seen, a newspaper clipping yellowed with age, Cross Industries announces expansion, dated 1991, and a letter, handwritten, unsigned. The paper was stained, wrinkled. I know what's in the room. I know what you did. I can't stay here. I can't be part of this. Don't look for me. You won't find me. But if anything happens to me, I've made sure the truth will come out. Elena read it twice, 3 times. This is from Catherine. Yes. She left this? My father found it on his desk, the morning after she disappeared. Elena looked at the floor plan, at the room marked in red. Where is this? Julian pointed. Sub-basement, below the wine cellar. I didn't know there was a sub-basement. Neither did I, until my father died. Elena gathered the papers, straightened them, placed them back in the folder. What's in the room, Julian? I don't know. You've never looked? The room is sealed, has been for 30 years. My father left instructions in his will, explicit instructions. The room was never to be opened. But you have the key. No. Then who does? Julian's face changed. Something dark moved behind his eyes. Garrett. Elena remembered. The brother who wasn't coming to the wedding. The brother who'd had a disagreement with Julian about her. Garrett has the key. Yes. And he wanted you to show me all this. Yes. Why? Julian walked to the window again, stared out at the darkness. Because Garrett thinks you deserve to know what you're marrying into. And what is that? A family with secrets, Elena. Secrets that have destroyed everyone who's gotten close to them. Elena looked at the folder, at the ring still clutched in her hand, at Julian's back silhouetted against the glass. The wedding is tomorrow. I know. Hundreds of people are coming. I know. Your mother has been planning this for... I know. Elena crossed the room, stood behind him. She could see his reflection in the glass, his face, the weight he carried. Why are you telling me this now? He turned, faced her. Because I love you, and I can't let you marry me without knowing. Without knowing what? That there's a room in this house. A room no one's opened in 30 years. A room that might contain evidence of something terrible. What kind of terrible? Julian's hands found her shoulders. His grip was tight. His eyes were wet. I don't know, Elena. That's the truth. I don't know what's in that room. But my father went to extraordinary lengths to keep it hidden, and the only person who ever tried to expose it disappeared. Elena felt the floor shift again, the room spinning around her. Julian, if you want to leave, I understand. If you want to call off the wedding, I'll handle it. My mother, the guests, all of it. Julian, but if you stay, if you marry me, you need to know that this is what you're marrying. A house with a locked room, a family with a missing woman, and a secret that's been buried for 3 decades. Elena looked at him, at the man she'd agreed to spend her life with, at the stranger standing in front of her. I need to think. I know. I need time. Take whatever you need. She stepped back. His hands fell from her shoulders. Don't follow me. I won't. She walked to the door, stopped, turned. One question. Julian waited. If you could open that room, if you had the key, would you? He didn't hesitate. Yes. Elena nodded. Once. Then she walked out. She found her shoes where she'd left them, put them on, descended the stairs alone. The house was quiet, the clock still ticking somewhere in the darkness. She walked to the front door, opened it. The cold hit her face. The car was gone. Elena stood on the steps. The driveway stretched before her, empty. She pulled out her phone. Dead. The battery icon blinked once and vanished. Behind her, footsteps. Ms. Vance. She turned. Helen stood in the doorway, still in black, still watching. The car has been dismissed for the evening. If you need transportation, I can arrange. Where can I charge my phone? The kitchen. Down the hall, second door on the left. Elena walked back inside, past Helen, down the hall. The kitchen was industrial, steel surfaces, hanging pots, a charging cable coiled on the counter. She plugged in her phone, waited. The screen flickered, came to life. 17 messages, most from her mother, a few from friends, one from a number she didn't recognize. She opened it. Don't marry him. Not until you see what's in the room. No signature, no name. Elena stared at the screen. Her reflection stared back. She typed a reply. Who is this? The response came in 3 seconds. Someone who made the same mistake you're about to make. Elena's fingers hovered over the screen. I don't understand. The reply. Victor Cross showed me that room. What I saw destroyed my life. Elena's hands shook. She gripped the phone tighter. Are you Catherine? Nothing. 1 minute, 2. Then, Catherine is dead. Elena sat down on a kitchen stool. The steel was cold through her dress. How do you know? Because I helped bury her. The kitchen hummed around her. Refrigerator. Ventilation. The soft tick of a clock she couldn't see. Who are you? Someone who worked in this house a long time ago. Someone who was paid to forget. Someone who never did. Elena looked toward the door. The hallway beyond was dark. Empty. What's in the room? I can't tell you. Why not? Because you won't believe me. You need to see it for yourself. The room is locked. Yes. Julian's brother has the key. A pause. Longer this time. Garrett Cross has the key to the old room, but there's another way in. Elena leaned forward. What do you mean? The room was remodeled after Catherine died. A second entrance was added, through the wine cellar. How do I find it? Northeast corner. Behind the rack marked 1987. There's a panel. It's not locked. Elena read the message twice, memorized it. Why are you telling me this? Because no one told me. And I made choices I can never take back. What kind of choices? The typing indicator appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. I'm not a good person, Ms. Vance. I did things for Victor Cross that I should have refused to do. But I'm old now, and I'm tired of carrying this. Carrying what? The truth about what happened to Catherine and the others. Elena's blood went cold. What others? The women before her, and the one after. Elena stood. The stool scraped against the floor. What are you talking about? Victor Cross was married 4 times. Only 2 of those marriages are public record. That's not possible. Ask Margaret. Ask her about the prenuptial agreement she signed. Ask her about the clause that dissolves the marriage if Victor dies under unexplained circumstances. Elena walked to the door, looked down the hallway. Still empty. I have to go. Don't trust anyone in that house. Not Julian. Not his mother. Not the staff. Julian's not like his father. Neither was his brother, until he found what was in that room. Elena closed the messages. Her hands were shaking so hard she almost dropped the phone. She unplugged it, walked into the hallway. The house was silent, waiting. She turned right, toward the wine cellar. The wine cellar was in the east wing, down a flight of stairs, through a heavy wooden door. Elena had been here once, at the engagement party. Julian had shown her his father's collection, thousands of bottles, some of them decades old. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open. The air inside was cool, dry, the smell of oak and dust. She pulled out her phone, used the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness. Rows of wine racks stretched before her, floor to ceiling, labeled by year. She walked. Her heels echoed on the stone floor. She stopped, took them off again, carried them. Northeast corner. She counted the rows, turned left, then right. The rack marked 1987 was against the wall, full of bottles, dusty labels. Elena looked at the wall behind it. Stone, solid, no visible seams. She reached through the bottles. Her fingers touched the wall, cold, rough, normal. She pushed, nothing. She pushed harder. A click, deep in the wall, the sound of something releasing. A panel swung inward, 6 inches, a foot. Behind it, darkness, total, complete. Elena stood there, her breath loud in the silence. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. "Did you find it?" She didn't respond. She pushed the panel wider. A passageway, narrow, stone walls, sloping downward. Elena stepped through. The passage was tight. Her shoulders brushed both walls. The floor was uneven, packed earth, cold against her bare feet. She walked, phone held in front of her. The light bounced off the walls. 10 feet, 20. The passage curved left. Elena followed it. The air changed, colder, damper, a smell underneath the stone, something organic, old. The passage ended at a door, metal, heavy, the same door from the photograph in Victor's folder. There was no handle, no visible lock. Elena touched the surface. The metal was ice cold. She pushed. The door swung open. The room was large. Elena stepped inside. Her phone's light swept across the space. Concrete floor, concrete walls, no windows. In the center, a table, metal, industrial, straps hanging from the sides. Along the walls, shelves, dozens of them, filled with boxes, folders, objects she couldn't identify. Elena walked to the nearest shelf. The first box was labeled CC 1993. She opened it. Photographs. More photographs. A woman's face. Different angles. Different expressions. The woman from the garden photograph. Catherine Cross. Elena lifted the photographs. Looked at them one by one. Catherine smiling. Catherine eating dinner. Catherine reading a book. Catherine sleeping. The photographs were taken from above, from a hidden angle. Surveillance. Elena put them back, reached for the next box. CC 1993. Final. Inside, a single photograph. Catherine lying on a bed, eyes open, face pale, not sleeping. Elena's stomach heaved. She dropped the photograph, stepped back. Her heel hit something on the floor. She looked down. A grate, metal, set into the concrete. She knelt, shone her light through the bars. Below, darkness, and something else. Fabric, faded, rotted, bones. Elena stood, fast, too fast. The room spun. She grabbed the shelf, steadied herself. Her phone buzzed. Now you know. Elena looked at the screen. Her vision blurred. What is this place? Victor called it the study, but it was a prison for the women who threatened to expose him. Expose him for what? Fraud, embezzlement, murder. Take your pick. Elena looked at the grate, at what lay beneath it. Catherine's down there. Not just Catherine. Elena's legs gave out. She sat on the floor. The concrete was cold and hard. Who else? The 2 wives before her. The business partner who discovered the fraud. A journalist who got too close. How many? A pause. Then, 7. That we know of. Elena pressed her hand to her mouth, tasted bile. Why are you telling me this? Because tomorrow you're supposed to marry his son, and you need to know what kind of family you're joining. Julian doesn't know, are you sure? Elena looked around the room, at the boxes, the folders, the evidence of 30 years of horror. He can't know. Victor Cross kept meticulous records. He was proud of what he did. He showed his sons this room when they turned 18. No. Ask Garrett why he left. Ask him why he hasn't spoken to his brother in 5 years. Elena stood. Her legs trembled but held. She walked to the table in the center of the room. The straps, the restraints. She touched one. The leather was stiff. Dark stains along the edges. I have to tell someone. If you tell anyone, you'll disappear too. Margaret has people everywhere. Staff, security, even the local police. Then what do? Get out. Tonight. Take nothing. Tell no one. And never come back. Elena looked at the door, at the passage beyond. I can't just leave. Yes, you can. People will look for me. They looked for Catherine too, and the others. They found nothing. That's because Victor killed them. Victor is dead, but the house is still here. The room is still here, and the people who helped him are still here. Elena walked toward the door, stopped. Who are you? Really? I told you. Someone who made mistakes. Someone who wants to make things right before it's too late. What's your name? A pause. The longest yet. Helen. Elena's blood went cold. Helen. The woman in black. The woman who had shown her where to charge her phone. You're still in the house. I never left. You helped him. I did what I was told. And then I couldn't stop. Why are you helping? Me now? Because you remind me of Catherine. Because I'm dying. Because some debts can't be paid, but they can at least be acknowledged. Elena walked through the door, into the passage, toward the light. What happens now? You make a choice, Ms. Vance. The same choice Catherine made. Run or stay and fight. But know this. Catherine ran, and they caught her. The only way to truly escape is to bring it all down. How? The records in that room. The evidence. It's enough to destroy them. All of them. Victor, Margaret, Cross Industries, everything. And Julian? A pause. That's for you to decide. Elena emerged from the wine cellar at 2:17 a.m. The house was dark, silent. She walked through the hallways in her bare feet, shoes dangling from her hand. Her phone was clutched in the other hand. Screen dark. No new messages. She reached the main staircase, stopped. Footsteps above her. Light. Deliberate. She pressed herself against the wall. Waited. A figure descended. Dark suit. Earpiece. Marcus. Julian's head of security. He passed within 5 feet of her. Didn't look. Didn't stop. Elena waited until his footsteps faded. Then she climbed. Julian's room was on the 2nd floor. East wing, far from Margaret's. Elena knocked once. Soft. No answer. She opened the door. The room was empty. The bed was made. No sign that anyone had slept here. She checked her phone. 2:23 a.m. She typed, "Where are you?" No response. She walked to the window, looked out at the grounds. Movement near the tree line. 2 figures, walking toward the woods. One was tall, broad, Julian's build. The other was smaller, older, gray hair catching the moonlight. Margaret. Elena watched them disappear into the trees. Her phone buzzed. Helen. They're going to the old groundskeeper's cottage. It's where Victor used to meet with people he didn't want anyone to know about. What are they doing? I don't know, but it's nothing good. Elena grabbed her coat from the closet. Julian's coat. Too big. She didn't care. She went out through the kitchen door. The grounds were cold. The grass was wet. Her bare feet were numb within a dozen steps. She didn't stop. The tree line was 300 yards from the house. She ran the last 100. Her lungs burned in the cold air. The woods swallowed her. Dark, dense. The moon barely penetrated. She stopped, listened. Voices. Faint. To her left. She moved toward them. Slow. Careful. A light appeared through the trees, flickering. Orange. The cottage. Elena crouched behind a tree, 30 feet from the door. Julian's voice, "Can't do this. Not now." Margaret's voice, "We don't have a choice." "There's always a choice." "Not anymore. She's seen the room." Elena's heart stopped. "That's not possible," Julian said. "Helen contacted her, showed her the passage. Helen's been with us for 40 years, and apparently that's long enough to develop a conscience." Silence. The fire crackled. "What do you want me to do?" Julian's voice was lower now, harder. "What your father would have done." "I'm not my father." "No, you're weaker. You always have been." A sound, a chair scraping. "Don't talk to me like that. I'll talk to you however I want. I've protected this family for 32 years. I've made sacrifices you can't imagine. And I will not let some girl from Connecticut destroy everything because you were too sentimental to tell her the truth. She's going to be my wife." "Not anymore, she isn't." Elena pressed her hand over her mouth. Her breath was ragged, loud. "Mother, the car will be here in 20 minutes. She'll be taken to the upstate property. Garrett will handle the rest." "Garrett? You told me he was refusing to come." "He was, until I reminded him what happens to people who don't cooperate." "What did you do?" "I showed him the room, Julian. The same room you were supposed to show him when he turned 18. The same room your father showed you." "I decided not to." "I know what you decided. That's why we're in this situation." Footsteps, closer to the door. "Elena knows nothing," Julian said. "She saw an old room with old files. She doesn't understand what any of it means." "She understands enough. Helen made sure of that." "Then deal with Helen." "I intend to. But Elena first." The door opened. Light spilled across the ground. Margaret stepped out. She was wearing a dark coat. Her face was sharp in the firelight. She looked directly at the tree where Elena was hiding. "You can come out now, dear. There's no point in running." Elena didn't move. "I know you're there," Margaret said. "I've known since you left the wine cellar. The motion sensors are quite sophisticated." Silence. The fire crackled inside the cottage. "Julian, go get her." "No." Margaret turned. "What did you say?" "I said no." Elena peered around the tree. Julian stood in the doorway. His face was pale. His hands were fists at his sides. "She's done nothing wrong. She's seen the room. Because Helen showed her. That's not her fault. Fault is irrelevant. Exposure is the only thing that matters." "She won't talk." "You don't know that." "I know her. You knew Catherine, too. Your father thought he knew her. Look how that ended." Julian stepped out of the cottage, walked toward his mother. "Elena is not Catherine. All women are Catherine, given enough incentive." Julian stopped, close enough to touch her. "I won't let you hurt her." Margaret's laugh was short, dry. "You won't let me?" "Julian, you've never stopped me from doing anything. Not when your father was alive. Not after. You don't have the stomach for it." "Maybe I do now." "No, you don't." Margaret reached into her coat, pulled something out. Elena couldn't see what it was, but Julian's face changed. "Mother. I didn't want it to come to this. I really didn't, but you've left me no choice. Put that down. Get the girl. Bring her to the cottage. We'll have this conversation inside." "Mother." "Now, Julian." He turned, started walking toward the tree line, toward Elena. She stood. Her legs were shaking. Her feet were numb. Julian's eyes found hers in the darkness. He shook his head. Once. Small. Then he mouthed, "Run." Elena ran. The woods were dark. Branches tore at her coat, her arms, her face. She couldn't see. Couldn't think. Behind her. Shouting. A shot. The sound cracked through the night. Birds erupted from the trees above her. She ran faster. Her foot caught on a root. She went down hard. The ground was wet and cold and sharp. She lay there, gasping, listening. Footsteps, multiple, spreading out. A voice. Marcus. This way. I saw movement. Elena pressed herself into the earth, made herself small. The footsteps came closer, closer, then stopped. She's not here. Another voice, one of the security team. Must have gone east. Split up, radio if you find her. The footsteps moved away. East. Elena waited. 1 minute, 2. Then she crawled. The edge of the woods opened onto a road. Elena stopped at the tree line. Looked both ways. Empty. Dark. A street light flickering 100 yards to the right. She stepped onto the asphalt. The surface was cold but smooth. Her feet had stopped hurting. That was probably bad. She walked toward the street light, toward whatever lay beyond it. A gas station, closed, a diner, dark, and a payphone, the kind she hadn't seen in years. Elena picked up the receiver. The dial tone was loud in the silence. She had no money, no ID, no phone. She dropped it somewhere in the woods. She dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? I need help. Someone's trying to kill me. Ma'am, can you tell me your location? Elena looked around, a street sign across the road. I'm at the intersection of Route 9 and Hollow Road, near a gas station. Can you tell me your name? Elena. Elena Vance. A pause. Something shifted in the operator's voice. Ms. Vance, please stay on the line. Help is on the way. How long? Just a few minutes. Can you tell me who's trying to hurt you? The Cross family. Margaret Cross, her son. Ma'am, did you say the Cross family? Yes, I was at their house. I found something. Now they're trying to... A car appeared at the end of the road. Black, moving fast. Ma'am, are you still there? There's a car coming. What kind of car? Black. I can't see. The car screeched to a stop, 30 feet away. The door opened. A man stepped out. Not Marcus, not anyone she recognized. He walked toward her, slowly, deliberately. Ma'am? Ma'am, I need you to stay on the line. I have to go. Ma'am. Elena dropped the phone, backed away from the booth. The man kept coming. Elena Vance? She didn't answer. I'm not going to hurt you. He held up his hands, empty. I'm here to help. Who are you? My name is Daniel Chen. I work for Garrett Cross. Elena stopped backing away. Garrett? He sent me to find you, to get you somewhere safe. Why should I trust you? Because I'm the only one out here who isn't trying to kill you. A second car appeared, behind the first, also black, also moving fast. Daniel looked over his shoulder. That's them. We need to go. Now. Elena looked at the approaching car, at Daniel, at the road stretching into darkness. Where? Somewhere they can't reach. Come on. He opened the passenger door, held it. The second car was getting closer. Elena could see headlights, could hear the engine. She got in. Daniel drove fast. No headlights. Elena gripped the door handle, watched the road blur past. Where are we going? A safe house, 40 minutes north. Garrett has a safe house? Garrett has several. He's been preparing for this for a long time. Preparing for what? Daniel glanced at her. His face was hard to read in the darkness. For someone to finally survive long enough to tell the truth. Elena thought of the room, the boxes, the bones beneath the grate. Catherine didn't survive? No, but you might. How? Garrett has evidence, documents, recordings, enough to bring down the entire family. Then why hasn't he used them? Because he was afraid. His mother controls everything. The company, the money, the authorities. Then what changed? Daniel was quiet for a moment. The road curved. He took it without slowing. You did. Me? Garrett's been watching Julian for years, waiting for him to find someone who could get close enough, someone who might be brave enough to do what Garrett couldn't. He set this up? He gave you the opportunity. You took it. Elena stared out the window. The trees were thinning. Open fields beyond. I didn't take anything. I found the room. I saw what was inside. And now you know. And you're still alive. That's already different from everyone else. A light appeared ahead. A building. Small. Dark except for a single window. Daniel slowed. Turned onto a dirt road. We're here. The car stopped. Daniel got out. Came around to her side. Elena didn't move. What happens now? Now you rest. Tomorrow Garrett will come, and you'll decide together what to do next. What if I just want to leave? Disappear? Daniel opened her door, looked at her. Then you leave. No one will stop you. But Margaret will keep looking, and eventually she'll find you. The only way to truly be free is to make sure she can't hurt anyone ever again. Elena stepped out of the car. The cold hit her immediately. She'd lost Julian's coat somewhere in the woods. Daniel led her to the door, unlocked it. Inside, a single room. A bed, a table, a fireplace with logs stacked beside it. I'll start a fire, Daniel said. There's food in the cabinet, clothes in the closet. Where will you be? Outside, watching. He knelt by the fireplace, started arranging logs. Elena stood in the center of the room. Her feet were bleeding, she realized, leaving stains on the wood floor. Daniel? He looked up. Is Julian part of this? Part of what his family does? Daniel was quiet for a long moment. The fire caught. Flames began to climb. I don't know. Garrett doesn't know either. That's one of the things you'll have to figure out. He stood, walked to the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be long. He left. The door closed behind him. Elena stood in the firelight, alone. She looked at her hands, still shaking, still cold. She walked to the closet, found clothes, plain, practical. She changed, found bandages in a cabinet, wrapped her feet. Then she lay down on the bed, stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow was supposed to be her wedding day. She closed her eyes. The fire crackled. The room grew warm. She didn't sleep. Garrett Cross arrived at 7:14 a.m. Elena heard the car before she saw it. She was standing by the window, had been standing there for hours. The door opened. A man walked in. Tall, dark hair going gray, Julian's features but harder. Older. Elena. Garrett. He closed the door, looked at her feet, at the bandages. You ran through the woods. Yes. My mother's people nearly caught you. I know. Garrett crossed to the table, set down a bag, started pulling things out, food, water, a laptop. Daniel told me what you saw. Did he tell you about Helen? Garrett's hand stopped, just for a moment. Helen contacted you? She told me about the room, the passage, what happened to Catherine. Helen hasn't spoken to anyone in 15 years. Not about that. She spoke to me. Garrett sat down, rubbed his face with his hands. That changes things. How? Helen knows everything. She was with my father from the beginning. She saw things, did things. He looked up. If she's willing to talk. She said she was dying. She's been saying that for a decade, but maybe this time she means it. Elena sat down across from him. The chair was hard, cold. What do you want from me? I want to bring them down. My mother, the company, all of it. Why me? Because you're the only witness who's still alive, and because you're about to become very public. What do you mean? Garrett opened the laptop, turned it toward her. A news website. The headline, Cross Wedding Postponed Amid Rumors of Family Crisis. Below, A photograph of Julian, of her, of the estate. This went up an hour ago, Garrett said. By noon, every outlet in the country will be running with it. Elena stared at the screen, at her own face, at the life she'd been living 24 hours ago. What are they saying? That you disappeared, that the family is concerned for your safety, that authorities have been notified. Authorities? Margaret controls local authorities. But this is too big now. The FBI will get involved, the state police, people she can't buy. Elena looked at Garrett, at the tension in his jaw. You planned this. I planned for the possibility. I didn't know if you'd be strong enough to actually do it. Do what? Survive. And be willing to fight. Elena stood, walked to the window. I don't know if I'm willing to fight. I don't know anything right now. That's fair, but you need to decide soon. Why? Because in about 4 hours, my mother is going to hold a press conference. She's going to tell the world that you're unstable, that you had a breakdown, that you fled the estate in a state of delusion. No one will believe that. People believe what they're told, especially when the person telling them has money and power and a team of lawyers. Elena turned. What's my alternative? Garrett reached into the bag, pulled out a folder, thick, stuffed with papers. This is everything I have, 30 years of records, financial documents, communications, evidence of what my father did, what my mother covered up. And what do you want me to do with it? Tell the truth. Go public. Name names. Let them try to silence you when the whole world is watching. Elena looked at the folder, at Garrett, at the door behind him. And Julian? Garrett's face changed. Something painful moved behind his eyes. Julian has to make his own choice. He told me to run. He helped me escape. Did he? Yes. Or did he help you escape into exactly the trap my mother set for you? Elena felt the floor shift, that familiar feeling, the ground moving beneath her. What do you mean? Julian knew about Helen. He knew she'd been in contact with outsiders. He knew she'd developed sympathies. You think he set me up? I think my brother has always been better at seeming innocent than being innocent. Elena walked to the table, picked up the folder. And what about you? What about me? You were there too. In that house. You saw what your father did. You had access to the room. I did. So why should I trust you instead of Julian? Garrett leaned back. His eyes were steady on hers. You shouldn't, not automatically. But there's one difference between me and Julian. What's that? I left. I walked away from the money, the power, the name. I've spent 5 years building a case against my own family. Maybe that's just a longer con. Maybe. But would I have sent Daniel to save you if I wanted you dead? Maybe you want me alive for a different reason. A useful witness, a sympathetic face. Garrett smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. You're smart. That's good. You'll need to be. Elena opened the folder, looked at the first page, a bank statement, wire transfers, amounts that made her head spin. What am I looking at? Payments from my father's private accounts to a company called Obsidian Security. What's Obsidian Security? A cleanup crew. They handle problems that can't be solved through legal channels. Elena turned the page. Another statement. Another transfer. How much? Over 30 years? About $47 million. Elena set the folder down. Her hands were shaking again. And you have proof that this is connected to the room? To what happened to those women? I have circumstantial evidence, bank records, travel logs, communications that reference the study and completed projects. That's not enough. No, it's not. Garrett stood, walked to the window beside her. That's why I need Helen. Helen won't testify. She's complicit. She might if she's really dying. People get honest at the end. You want me to convince her? I want you to talk to her, to see if there's anything left of the woman who tried to save you last night. Elena looked out the window. The sky was gray, heavy clouds moving in from the north. And if I do this, if I go back, Margaret will be waiting. Yes. She'll try to kill me. Yes. And you expect me to just walk into that? Garrett turned to face her. I expect you to make a choice. The same choice everyone in this situation has to make. Run and hide or stand and fight. What did you choose? I ran. For 5 years. And every day of those 5 years, I've regretted it. Why? Because running didn't save anyone. It just delayed things. My mother is still there. Still controlling. Still destroying lives. And I've been hiding in safe houses, waiting for someone else to be brave enough to do what I couldn't. Elena felt something shift inside her. Not fear. Something else. If I do this, if I go back and talk to Helen, I need something from you. Name it. Julian. I need to know the truth about him, all of it. Garrett was quiet for a long moment. What do you want to know? Did he know about the room before I found it? Yes. Did he know what his father did there? Yes. Did he participate? The silence stretched. Elena's heart pounded in her ears. I don't know, Garrett said finally. That's the truth. I don't know what Julian did or didn't do. I left before I could find out. But you suspect something. I suspect my brother is capable of things he's never shown you. Things he's never shown anyone. Like what? Garrett reached into his pocket, pulled out a photograph. Elena took it, looked at it. A young man, maybe 18, standing in front of a door, the door to the room. That's Julian. On his 18th birthday, the day our father showed him what was inside. Elena looked at the photograph, at Julian's face, at his expression. He was smiling. Elena sat in the car for a long time. Daniel was at the wheel. The engine was running. The heater hummed. You don't have to do this, she looked at him. I know. Garrett would understand if you wanted to just disappear. Would he? Daniel didn't answer. Elena opened the door, stepped out. They were parked on a side road, a half-mile from the Cross estate, close enough to walk. I'll wait here, Daniel said. If you're not back in 2 hours, I'm coming in. And if I'm dead, then I'll make sure Garrett gets the evidence to the right people. Elena nodded, started walking. The estate looked different in daylight. Elena approached from the north, through the woods, the same woods she'd fled through the night before. The house rose through the trees, stone and glass, cold and beautiful. She stopped at the edge of the tree line, watched. 2 vehicles in the drive, security at the front door, movement behind the windows. She circled east, toward the kitchen entrance, toward Helen. The door was unlocked. Elena stepped inside. The kitchen was empty, clean. The charging cable still coiled on the counter where she'd left it. She moved through the house. Quiet, careful. The hallway was empty. The clock still ticked. She found Helen in the east wing, in a small room with a single window, sitting in a chair, staring at the wall. Helen. The old woman didn't turn. I knew you'd come back. Elena stepped inside, closed the door. How did you know? Because you're not like the others. You don't run from things. I ran last night. You survived last night. There's a difference. Elena walked to the window, looked out at the grounds. Margaret knows I'm gone. She's going to hold a press conference. Say I'm unstable. I know. I watched her prepare. Is that why you helped me, to stop her? Helen was quiet for a moment. Her hands were folded in her lap. paper-thin skin, blue veins. I helped you because I'm tired, because I've carried this for too long, because every time I close my eyes I see their faces, the women. Yes, you helped kill them. Helen's face didn't change. I helped dispose of them. After. That's not better. No, it's not. Elena turned from the window. Will you testify? Tell the authorities what you know? I'm dying, Ms. Vance. I have weeks, maybe days. What good would my testimony do? It would corroborate everything. Make it impossible for Margaret to deny. Margaret will deny everything regardless. She always does. Not if there's proof. Not if someone who was there is willing to speak. Helen looked up. Her eyes were clouded. Roomy. You have Garrett's files? Yes. They're not enough. They're circumstantial. A good lawyer would tear them apart. What would be enough? Helen was quiet. Her hands trembled in her lap. The room. I've seen the room. You've seen the old room. The one Catherine found. But there's another one. Elena felt the floor shift, that feeling again. Another room? Victor built it after Catherine disappeared. Bigger, better hidden. That's where he kept the real records. Where is it? Helen stood, slowly, painfully. I'll show you. They descended into darkness. Not the wine cellar this time. A different passage. Behind a panel in Helen's room. Elena followed the old woman down narrow stairs, into the earth. The air was cold, damp. The walls were stone. Victor dug this himself, Helen said. Over 3 years, he didn't trust contractors. Where does it lead? You'll see. The stairs ended at a door. Modern, steel. A keypad on the wall beside it. Helen punched in a code. The lock clicked. After you. Elena pushed the door open. The room was white. White walls, white floor, white ceiling, fluorescent lights humming overhead. Elena stepped inside, her eyes adjusted. Filing cabinets lined the walls. Dozens of them, floor to ceiling. In the center, a desk, a chair, a computer that looked decades old. This is where Victor kept everything, Helen said from the doorway. Financial records, communications, video. Video? Of the study, every session, every project. Elena walked to the nearest cabinet, pulled open a drawer, folders, hundreds of them, labeled with dates and names. She pulled one out, opened it. Photographs, documents, a woman's driver's license, a death certificate, the cause of death, accidental drowning. Victor was meticulous, Helen said. He documented everything. He wanted to remember. Elena replaced the folder, pulled out another woman, another death, this one listed as suicide. How many? 23, over 32 years. Elena's stomach heaved. She pressed her hand to the cabinet, steadied herself. And Margaret knew? Margaret arranged most of them. After Victor died, she continued his work. Continued? There have been 4 since Victor's death. All women who threatened to expose the family. Jesus! He has nothing to do with it. Elena turned, faced the old woman. Why are you showing me this? Why now? Helen walked into the room, slowly. Her footsteps echoed on the white floor. Because I'm dying. Because I want it to end. Because those women deserve justice. Even if I don't. You could have gone to the police years ago. And who would have believed me? A servant. Against the Cross family. Helen shook her head. No. It had to be someone else. Someone from outside. Someone with nothing to lose. I have plenty to lose? Do you? Your career? Your reputation? Those things are already gone. Margaret has seen to that. Elena looked around the room, at the cabinets, the records, the evidence of decades of horror. How do I get this out? The files are too large to move. But there's a backup. Victor kept digital copies of everything. Where? Helen walked to the desk, touched the old computer. Here. But it's encrypted. I don't know the password. Then how? Julian knows. Elena's blood went cold. Julian? Victor gave him the password on his 18th birthday. It was supposed to be a gift, an inheritance. Julian knows about all of this. Julian knows about the files. Whether he knows what they contain? Helen shrugged. I never asked. Elena stared at the computer, at the blank screen. I can't ask Julian for help. He's part of this. Is he? His mother tried to kill me. His mother, not him. He was there, in the cottage. He didn't stop her. Did you give him a chance? Elena remembered. Julian's face in the firelight, his eyes meeting hers. The word he mouthed, run. He helped me escape. Yes, but he didn't follow me. No. Why? Helen sat down in the chair. Her breathing was labored, because Julian is caught between two worlds, the one his father built and the one he wishes he could live in. That's not an excuse. No. But it might be an explanation. Elena walked to the door, looked back at the room. If I can get the password, if I can access those files, what then? Then you have everything, enough to destroy them all. Margaret, the company, everyone who helped. And Julian? Helen's eyes met hers. That depends on what he does next. Elena found Julian in his father's study. The old one. The one she'd seen the night before. He was standing by the window, looking out at the grounds. He turned when she entered. His face was pale. Dark circles under his eyes, a cut on his cheek that hadn't been there before. You came back. I needed to. My mother's looking for you. I know. Julian walked toward her, stopped, close enough to touch. I thought you'd be gone by now. I thought Daniel would take you somewhere safe. He did. I came back anyway. Why? Elena looked at him, at the man she'd agreed to marry, at the stranger standing in front of her. Because I need something from you. What? The password. Julian's face didn't change. What password? Don't. Please. I know about the second room. I know about the files. Helen showed me. Something flickered in Julian's eyes, gone before she could read it. Helen showed you the archives. Yes. And she told you I have the password. Yes. Julian turned, walked back to the window. My father gave it to me on my 18th birthday, along with a tour of the study. The original one. I know. He showed me what he'd done, what he was proud of. He wanted me to continue his work. Elena's stomach tightened. Did you? Julian didn't answer. Julian, did you continue his work? He turned. His eyes were wet. No. Then why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you go to the police? Because I was 18 years old. Because my mother controlled everything. Because I was afraid. And now? Now I'm still afraid. But I'm also tired. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a piece of paper, folded, worn at the edges. The password. I've carried it with me since the day my father died. I always knew this moment would come. Elena took the paper, opened it. A string of numbers and letters, meaningless without context. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. My mother has people everywhere. Getting those files out of this house won't be easy. I know. And even if you do, she'll fight. She has lawyers, connections, power. I know. Julian stepped closer. His hand reached for hers, then stopped. I'm sorry, Elena, for everything. For not telling you sooner, for not being brave enough to end it myself. Why didn't you? Because ending it means destroying my family, my name, everything I've ever known. Your family destroyed themselves a long time ago. Yes, but I wasn't ready to accept that. Are you ready now? Julian looked at her, really looked, for the first time since they'd met. I don't know, but I'm willing to try. He reached into his other pocket, pulled out a key. The service entrance, in the basement. It leads to the old carriage house. There's a car, there. My father's. No one's used it in years. You're helping me escape? I'm giving you a choice. Stay and fight, or run. Either way, I won't stop you. Elena took the key, felt the weight of it in her palm. What about you? I'll keep my mother busy, buy you time. She'll know you helped me. Probably. I know what she might do. I've known my whole life. Elena looked at the key, at the paper, at Julian. Come with me. I can't. Why? Because someone has to stay. Someone has to face her, and it should be me. Julian, go, before she finds out you're here. Elena nodded. Once, she walked to the door, stopped, turned. The photograph, the one Garrett showed me. You were smiling. Julian's face changed. Something cracked behind his eyes. My father told me to smile. He said it would make a good picture. Were you happy? I was terrified, but I'd learned by then that terror and smiling could exist in the same moment. Elena looked at him, at the 18-year-old boy hiding behind the 32-year-old man. I believe you. She left, the archives downloaded in 17 minutes. Elena sat in the basement, in front of the old computer, watching the progress bar crawl across the screen. The files were enormous. Decades of records, thousands of documents, hours of video. She tried not to think about what the videos contained. At 16 minutes, footsteps above her. Heavy, moving fast. Elena grabbed the USB drive, pulled it from the computer before the transfer finished. Good enough. She ran for the service entrance. The key was slippery in her sweating hand. The door opened. Cold air flooded in. The carriage house was 50 yards away, through an overgrown garden, past a fountain that hadn't worked in years. She ran. Behind her, voices, shouting. There! She's heading for the carriage house. Elena didn't look back. The carriage house door was unlocked. She pushed inside. A car. Old. Black. Covered in dust. She pulled open the driver's door. The keys were in the ignition. She turned them. The engine coughed. Died. Come on. She tried again. The engine turned over. Caught. The carriage house doors were closed, chained from the inside. Elena put the car in drive, pressed the accelerator. The doors exploded outward. Wood splintered. Chains flew. The car shot into the gray morning light. 2 miles from the estate, a police car appeared. Elena's hands tightened on the wheel. The cruiser pulled alongside her. The officer gestured for her to stop. She slowed, pulled to the side of the road. The officer approached, young, clean-cut, hand on his weapon. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle. Elena didn't move. Ma'am, who sent you? The officer's face changed, just slightly. I received a call about a stolen vehicle. I need you to... From Margaret Cross? Ma'am, I'm not going to ask again. Elena looked at him, at his hand on his weapon, at the empty road stretching ahead. No. She slammed the accelerator. The car shot forward. The officer shouted something. She didn't hear it. In the rearview mirror, the cruiser. Lights flashing, siren wailing. Elena drove faster. The highway was 3 miles ahead. Elena pushed the old car as hard as it would go. The engine screamed. The frame shook. The cruiser was gaining. More lights behind it now. 3 cars. 4. She reached for her pocket. The USB drive was still there. The paper with the password. If they caught her, it would all be for nothing. She took the turn onto the highway. Too fast. The car fishtailed. Rubber burned. She straightened. Merged into traffic. The highway was busy. Morning commuters. Trucks. Buses. She wove between them. Eyes on the mirror. The cruisers were still coming, but slower now. Hampered by the traffic. 5 miles. 10. An exit appeared. A service road. Trees on both sides. Elena took it. The car bounced off the highway. Down a narrow lane. The cruisers missed the exit. She saw them fly past. Brake lights flaring. She didn't slow down. Daniel's car was parked where he'd said it would be, an abandoned factory, 2 miles from the highway, rust and broken windows. Elena pulled up beside him, got out. Daniel was already moving, taking her arm, leading her to his car. "Did you get them?" She pressed the USB drive into his hand. "Most of them. The download didn't finish." "How much?" 80%, maybe more. "That's enough." He opened the passenger door. She got in. They drove, fast, north. "Garrett's already in position," Daniel said. "He has contacts at the Times, the Post, CNN. They're waiting." "For what?" "For you." Elena looked out the window. The countryside blurred past. "I'm not a story. You're the only story that matters right now. The woman who survived, the woman who exposed them. I didn't survive anything yet. You will." They drove in silence, miles passing, the sky darkening. "What happens after?" Elena asked. "After what?" "After I talk to the reporters, after the story breaks. We disappear. New identities, new locations. Garrett has it all arranged. And Margaret? If the evidence is as damaging as Helen said, Margaret won't be a problem for much longer. And Julian?" Daniel didn't answer. "Daniel, I don't know. That's the truth. Garrett doesn't know either. Julian's in the middle. He could go either way." Elena thought of him, standing in his father's study, handing her the password, the key, telling her to run while he stayed. "He helped me." "He did." Doesn't that mean something? It means something. Whether it means enough, Daniel shrugged. That's not for us to decide. The safe house was different this time. A high-rise, a city she didn't recognize. Garrett waiting in the lobby. He took one look at her and smiled. "You did it." The download didn't finish. "It doesn't matter. We have enough." He led her to an elevator. Up. 20 floors. 30. A room at the top. Windows on all sides. The city spreading out below. People. Waiting. Cameras. Lights. "Whenever you're ready," Garrett said. Elena looked at the cameras, at the faces behind them. "What do I say?" "The truth. Whatever that means to you." She walked to the chair they'd set up. Sat down. The lights were warm on her face. A woman approached, mic in hand. "Ms. Vance, thank you for agreeing to speak with us." "Thank you for listening. Can you tell us in your own words what happened at the Cross estate?" Elena looked at the camera, at the lens that would carry her face into millions of homes. She thought of Catherine, of the women whose names she'd never know, of the bones beneath the grate. "I can tell you what I saw, what I found, what I survived." "Please." Elena took a breath, and she began. The interview aired 3 hours later. Elena watched it in a hotel room. Alone. Garrett had offered to stay. She'd asked him to leave. On screen, her face, her voice, her words, the files, the photographs, the room, the anchor's face, pale with shock, the crawl at the bottom of the screen. Breaking. Cross family implicated in decades of alleged murders. Margaret Cross taken into custody. FBI raids. Cross estate. Multiple arrests. Elena turned off the television. The room was quiet. The city hummed below. Her phone buzzed, a number she didn't recognize. She answered. "Hello? It's Julian." She closed her eyes. "Where are you?" "Does it matter?" "Yes." A pause. Static on the line. "I'm at the estate. What's left of it." "The FBI, they're done. For now. They'll be back. But for now, it's just me. Are you okay?" "No." Elena pressed the phone closer to her ear. "Julian, you did the right thing. I want you to know that. Whatever happens now, you did the right thing. What's going to happen now?" "To me? I don't know. They'll probably charge me with something. Accessory, maybe, obstruction." "You helped me. I helped you escape. I didn't help you for years. I knew what was happening and I did nothing." "You were afraid. That's not an excuse. No. But it's an explanation. Silence. The phone was warm against her face. Elena. Yes? I loved you. I want you to know that too. It wasn't all pretend. It wasn't all part of whatever this was. I know. Do you? Yes. Another pause. Longer this time. Goodbye, Elena. Goodbye, Julian. The line went dead. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, the phone in her lap, the city lights below. She thought about crying, couldn't manage it. She thought about sleeping, couldn't manage that either. So she sat and waited for whatever came next. 3 months later, Elena stepped out of the courthouse. The sun was bright, camera flashes everywhere. Garrett was waiting by the car. How do you feel? Empty. That's normal. They got in. The car pulled away from the curb. Margaret got life, Elena said. I heard. She didn't even react, just sat there. She knew it was coming. Elena looked out the window, the city passing by. And Julian? 5 years, reduced for cooperation. He testified against her. He did. That took courage. It took something. I'm not sure courage is the word. The car turned onto a highway, north, away from the city. Where are we going? Somewhere new? Somewhere no one knows your name. Does such a place exist? We'll find out. Elena leaned back in her seat, closed her eyes. Garrett. Yes? Thank you. For what? For giving me a choice, for letting me decide. You did the hard part. All I did was open a door. That's not nothing. No, I suppose it isn't. The highway stretched ahead. Empty. Open. Elena watched it unroll, mile after mile. She thought of the room, the bones, the faces of women she'd never met. She thought of Julian, his smile in that photograph, the terror behind it. She thought of Catherine, the woman who'd tried to run, who'd almost made it. And she thought of herself, the woman who'd walked into a locked room and walked out alive. The car drove on. The past fell away behind her. And somewhere ahead, invisible but certain, the future waited. 6 months later, Elena Vance published a memoir detailing her experiences with the Cross family. It became the best-selling nonfiction book of the year. She donated all proceeds to an organization supporting victims of domestic violence. Garrett Cross legally changed his name and retired from public life. He was last seen in a small coastal town in Maine. Julian Cross served 4 years of his sentence before being released on good behavior. He has not been seen publicly since. Margaret Cross died in federal prison 18 months after her conviction. The cause of death was listed as natural causes. The Cross estate was seized by the government and later demolished. In its place, a memorial garden was built, bearing the names of all 23 known victims. Helen passed away 3 weeks after Elena's escape. Before her death, she gave a full deposition to federal investigators, providing crucial testimony that corroborated Elena's account. The investigation into Cross Industries is ongoing. Elena stood in the garden. The wind was cold. Autumn now. Leaves falling around her. The memorial was simple. Stone. Engraved names. She read them one by one. Catherine and the others. Women who'd seen something they weren't supposed to see. Who'd asked questions they weren't supposed to ask. Women who'd disappeared. Elena touched the stone, cold against her fingers. I'm sorry, she said. I'm sorry I couldn't do it sooner. The wind rustled through the trees. No answer. No absolution. She didn't need one. She'd done what she could. Told the truth. Named the names. The rest was up to history. She turned, walked away from the memorial. At the edge of the garden, she stopped, looked back. The stone stood silent in the fading light. 23 names, 23 women. Gone, but not forgotten. Not anymore. Elena walked into the evening. Alone. Alive. Free. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Mr. Douglas Tales, where powerful stories unfold one moment at a time.